Alright, so today we're going to learn about Cat5e and Cat5.6 termination. They're pretty much the same. The Cat6 just has some shielding in the middle of it that prevents crosstalk, and we'll cover that in a later video. But first thing I want you to see that this is a Cat5e cable. You can see that it's labeled right here, Cat5e. This looks like a white cable. If you look here on the inside, you can see the four different pairs of wires that are in there. So first I'm going to introduce you to some of the tools that you'll be using, and then we'll get started with making and terminating the cable. So some of the different tools that you can use to get the sheathing off of this Cat5e cable is you can use this little tool here. You can see it has a little razor blade here. Also has one on the other side. The one thing that you want to be careful if you are using one of these is that these razor blades are not too far down. If these razor blades are too far down, then you can end up cutting your wires inside the sheathing, and you can have problems actually terminating or getting your cable to pass when you go to test it. There are some other tools that you could use. There's also this tool. You can use this for Cat5, Cat6, coax cable. It's got this little spot here that you can just stick your cable into, let go, spin it around, and then remove your sheathing for it. Nice thing about this one, has a adjustable knob here to where you can adjust the length of your razor blade that's in there. There's some other tools that are kind of all-in-one tools. There's this one here. This one's from Southwire. You can take your cable and put it in this hole right here, and if we turn around to the other side, you can see the razor blade right there. And these are preset from the factory. These are pretty good to where they won't actually cut the wire on the inside. I've got another example here. This one's actually from Radio Shack. Very similar, just doesn't have the connector here that locks it in place. But you can see, you can just put your cable in here, crimp it down, and then you can strip your cable. Then you also have this one, which is an all-in-one tool. You can see here that it has the crimper for the RJ45, which is the end that goes on a Cat5e or a Cat6 cable. Your razor blades are right here, and it also has a razor blade in there, if you can see that. So today I'm going to be using the same tool that most of you will be using. I'm going to check the razor blade first to make sure it's at the appropriate height. And if I look here from the back, I can see that the razor blade is just barely over the black plastic, so I know that's in good position. So I'm going to take my cable here, make sure it's nice and straight, and then I am just going to simply put it in here, put it to the appropriate length. I like to put it about an inch past the black on this little tool here, and then just let it go, spin it a couple times, and then let go. If you look really closely, you can see that there's just a hairline cut on there. And some people think that it needs to cut all the way through, but that's not the case. You just bend it right here, and I've now just taken the sheathing off of this Cat5e, Cat6 cable. Alright, so now I can separate these out. You can see I've got four different groupings of wire. I've got a white, orange, and an orange. I've got a white, green, and a green. I've got a white, blue, and a blue, and I have a white, brown, and a brown. So when we're terminating this, the first thing that we want to do is get these in the appropriate order. And today we're going to be doing the 568B order, and that's pretty much standard for most of your Ethernet cables here in the States. So the first thing we're going to want to do is separate all these. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. I just like to do it with my fingers. You can also take this piece that we just cut off, and you could put it in between here and just kind of spin it along there, if I can get it on there. And I've just separated those two. I like to do it with my fingers. I'm just a hands-on person, so I'll just spin this a couple times and get them undone. Alright, so now I've kind of got them all separated. I've put them in kind of 4 different sections because they're all different colors, of course. But now we have to follow the color code. So the very first color that we need is white orange. So this one right here, you can see it's white and it's got an orange stripe through it. So that's going to be our very first one that goes. Alright, so after white orange you have orange. So I'll put those two right next to each other. Now when you're getting your color code straight, you want to try and keep these as straight as possible and get them as close together as possible. It's just going to make your life easier when you go to put that in the RJ45. Alright, so we have white, orange, orange, and then we have white, green, and then we have blue, and then we have white, blue, then we have our green, then we have white, brown, and brown. Now if you look at this real close, you can see that we have our white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Now just a tip when you're doing this, if you think there's a couple of them that might be mixed up, remember that a striped color will always go next to a solid color. You will never have 2 stripes or 2 solids next to each other. So now you just want to make these as nice and as straight and as pretty as possible. Because when we go to put these into the RJ45, it's not going to be easy if they're not straight. So you can see I've got a majority of these pretty straight. Now, here's the RJ45. This is the connector that goes on the end of this Ethernet cable. It's got 2 sides. It's got the one side that has the clip on it. You can see the clip there. And then we have the other side, which is just blank, and you can see the little copper connectors here at the top. What you're going to want to do is take the copper side where you see the copper terminators there, and that's where your wires are going to go into. But as you can see, my wires are much too long. And the reason I like to make my wires long is because they're easier to work with. If I were to cut them to the appropriate length to where this would go in, they get a little bit harder, and especially for beginners, it's nice to have these long ones. I could cut them appropriate length and do this fairly quickly, but definitely for beginners, I like to make them long. So we're going to go ahead and cut these wires off real quick. So I'm just taking some simple side cutters here and make sure that you get it nice and straight so they'll all fit in the RJ45 nice and neat. And now you can see that I've got a nice neat straight cut with my white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Alright, once again I'll take my RJ45 connector to where the copper terminations are up top, and I will slide my wires in there. Now you can see them going in there right now, and each one of these has its own particular spot. So we'll make sure that our colors are still good, so white, orange, orange, white, green, blue. Oh, and you can see there that my green and my white, blue have gotten switched around. So you got to pull it back out, not a big deal. Make them all straight, make sure you've got the color code. White, orange, orange, white, green, blue, and my green is snuck in there. Alright, so white, orange, orange. green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Go ahead and put that back on there. Alright, so let's make sure we got it good again. Alright, white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, and now my brown and my white, brown. So see, this isn't always easy as it appears. Some people get it first try. Some people will have to, excuse me, some people have to try a couple times. Not a big deal. That brown does not like me today. Alright, so white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. And you can see here at the very bottom I've got some wires showing. We want to make sure that this white sheathing is under this little line here, because when we put our crimpers on here, the crimper is going to crimp down and we want it to be on the sheathing. So if this were ever to come loose, it's not going to pull our wires out, it's just going to be pulling on the sheathing. So if you see that you have some extra wires, you can just actually push the sheathing and it'll push right up in there. And now you can see that I have the sheathing underneath this little slot here. Other thing you want to make sure that you check on is if you look in the end here, you can see that all my wires have been pushed all the way to the top. It's kind of hard to see sometimes, but if you look there closely. So there's 3 things you want to check before you crimp this. Make sure that you can see all your wires through the end. Make sure that your color code is correct. White, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. And make sure that your sheathing is under this line right here. Alright, so I've checked all those things. I am going to go ahead and crimp. Make sure that you hang on to your RJ45 before you crimp. That way your wires aren't coming out and your sheathing is going to stay within the allowed space here. I'm going to go ahead and take this crimper here. You can see it has 2 different sections. This one is for 6 pair, it's for telephone wire, and this one is for, well, it says 6P and 8P, but of course 4 pair would be 8 wires. So 8P, that's for your RJ45. Different crimpers are going to say different things, but we'll go ahead and stick it in there. Make sure it gets seated all the way in there. And you can even see it from the other side if you want to. And then you just squeeze it down. This one has a click at the very end. Once you hit that final click, it'll release. And now we have a successful Ethernet cable on this side. You can see we've crimped it well. If you look here, we've got all our wires all the way to the end there. And then of course our color code: white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. Alright, so now let's do the other end. Let's see if we can do it a little faster than this end. It took us a little while. I got some wires sticking out here, so I'm just going to cut those off real quick. And I use this tool for everything because it's got everything I need. So I'm just going to put this through there. Spin it a couple times. Separate all my wires. Alright, so my color code, once again: white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, brown, brown. So white, orange, orange. Move my white, green over here. My blue, my white, blue, my green. And last but not least, my white, brown, and by brown. So once again, get them as close as possible. Nice and straight. White, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, brown. All right, perfect. Cut those off. And make sure if you're doing this in a classroom situation, if you hold them really close to your face, make sure that you're wearing safety glasses. Some of these little pieces of wire can very easily jump up in your face and get in your eye. I happen to be wearing glasses, you just can't see me. So, all right, once again, we'll make sure that these copper terminators are on top, and then your white orange will sit on the left side of that RJ45. So slide this in there. Hopefully we don't have any issues. Slid right in there, perfect. So white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, brown. All right, perfect first time. My sheathing is in there. I can see all my wires coming through the end here. And I'll go ahead and grab my crimper. Put it in the 8 section and crimp it. And now we have 2 good ends. Another good thing to do is to check both ends, make sure they're identical. If they are not identical, then you have done one or the other incorrect. So right now we're going to go ahead and test this cable, make sure it's good. We've got a couple different types of testers here. We've got this tester. It's pretty simple. You can actually separate this if you want to, and then you can have one end in here, one end in there. And all this one does is plug one in here, one here, and if you look here, you can see that both the sets of lights are lighting up all the way, and that means that this cable is good. If we had issues, we'd have maybe blinking light here or a blinking light down here. That just means that you have some type of short miswire. You can see the labels down here. The one says short, miswire, reverse, split pair, so on and so forth. So, all right. We also have another tester. This other tester is a little more fancy, I guess is the word you should use. Go ahead and turn it on, and you can see all the different options that we have here. This one too is not too difficult. You've got your one connection up here. We've also got one for a telephone, but we're going to be using the one for the RJ45. And then we've got one down here. So plug it up top here, plug the other end in the bottom, and this one's also removable. This is so you can take it to 100, 200, 300 feet away and still test your cable. All right, so you can see on this screen here that it says data RJ45. So that's exactly what we want to test. So we're going to go down here with our arrow keys, and right now it's highlighting cable test. So once that's highlighted, we'll just click OK, and see the little hammer means it's thinking, and it tells me that all these are matching, and if you look down here it says pass. And then it also tells me how long my cable is. Tell me this is a 1 foot cable. It may be just a little bit longer than 1 foot, but if you're just trying to figure out the distance of your cable within a few feet, then this would be a good tool to use. That's about it for making cables. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message. If there are no questions, thanks for your time.